Cold nights like this could mean life or death for those who can't find a warm place to stay. Homelessness is a growing issue that needs more support in order to combat.
All a person needs is a steady place to stay.
But finding that place to stay hasn't been so easy. A global pandemic making matters worse for some whose financials were already stretched thin.
It only takes one crisis to in that situation.
The COVID-19 pandemic has created housing insecurity and pulled more people into homelessness. Federal and state aid can only go so far for people who already were without a safety net. Hamden and New Haven officials are pushing for more affordable housing to spread out the burden being placed on cities that can't keep up with the demand.
There's not enough affordable housing. Job opportunities are not there. We don't have regional government, so we don't share costs.
Mayor Justin Elliker of New Haven was one of those who spoke in support of a number of proposed planning and zoning reforms. He believes the so-called mansion tax will help lighten the financial burden on cities whose citizens are forced to foot the bill for a statewide issue.
Our overemphasis on hyperlocal property tax funding desperately needs reform if we want to move our state forward and make it more equitable.
New Haven has invested over $1.2 million from the CARES Act to accelerate the pathway from homelessness to permanent housing, even providing over a year of rent payments for some.
You increase the amount of affordable housing statewide, it helps with the overall supply of affordable housing, which is what we need ultimately to reduce and potentially even eliminate homelessness.
For individuals like ourselves who want to be able to help, city officials say the best thing you could do is to volunteer, whether it be volunteering your time or donating goods or supplies. Those goods could go a long way in helping those in need. In New Haven, Dave Puglisi, Fox 61 News.